Yo, what's going on, fellas? It's your boy Bucky the Bus Brooks, and we're here with another DML mock draft. Right now, we're gonna dive into the top 10 picks, and currently, this order will change. Right now we're in like week 11, week 12, so don't expect this order to be what it is now later on when you see another mock draft. So I can't do this show by myself. I got another DML analyst on the show, and that's my man Bruce Kuiper. What's going on, man?
Ain't nothing much, Bucky the Bus Brooks. Appreciate you having me on here, man. Ready to talk about these prospects.
Yes, sir, man. So this is going to be a very interesting draft. We're going to see where these top 10 guys pick, what direction they go into, if they're going to draft some busts or if they're going to draft some studs. Normally the top 10, you can count on maybe one or two guys reaching, and that's when you see our Stretch Armstrong award, but we're not going to get into that. That's going to be another show. So, hey man, let's just go ahead and dive into this pick. And the first overall pick belongs to the Bucks, and we have him drafting a quarterback, Casey Cummins, out of Notre Dame. Now, last year the Bucks drafted a solid O-lineman named David Wooten, left tackle. So he's been addressing his O-line for quite some time, and I'm thinking he's ready to, get that face of the franchise, and that could possibly be Casey Cummins from Notre Dame. He's a scrambler, so let's not look for him to stay in the pocket as much, coming in at 6'3", 216 pounds. So, Mr. Kuiper, Bruce Kuiper, who do you have the Bucks picking with the first overall pick?
Well, Bucky, I think you got the position right, man. But I think that it's actually, in my opinion, going to be Mr. Ben Martinez out of Alabama. Same type of quarterback like Casey Cummins, but if you look on the tape, it looks like he might have a little bit more throw power. I think really, though, the Casey Cummins pick could happen. It's really going to come down to combine numbers, but he's definitely going to go quarterback, and he's definitely going to go scrambling quarterback. There's another quarterback a little later on in the draft that I'll bring up out of Ohio State that's more of a pocket passer. But, he has to face those Sack brothers out in Atlanta. And even though he has a good old line now, man, he's still taking sacks. So I think he's going to try and change it up a little bit, get a fast quarterback, and, try to make something shake for high stakes. What do you think?
Okay. It's kind of mind-boggling, like how the Bucks really addresses their team. But we both have him taking a quarterback. If you remember, he just traded for a quarterback. So I don't think he likes Tuthill, who he traded for from the Steelers. So look for another quarterback to come in. I'm not sure if we're going to label him as the QB killer right now, but look for one of those quarterbacks to come into Tampa Bay and be the face of that franchise. Next, we got the Buffalo Bills coming in at number 2, and I have them selecting Ollie Richards from Georgia, cornerback. Now, I think this cornerback class is pretty decent. It's not what we're used to seeing. Ollie Richards comes in at 5'11", 181. Last year, the Bills addressed the offensive side of the ball where he drafted Michael Kruger, the tight end. So I think now he brings in a position that could possibly help him in the secondary. And the guy can possibly learn from Tre'Davious White, who's a stud cornerback on the Bills team as of right now. Ollie Richards will come out of Georgia, so he plays in the SEC, so he can ball. But how will he make that transition from that warm weather to that cold weather in Buffalo? And that will be a sight to see, because the cold weather is nothing to play with. So you're going from, sunny into possibly playing a game where everything's white. So I got the Bills selecting Ollie Richards. Who do you have the Bills selecting, Mr. Bruce Kuiper?
Bucky, I got the Bills going with Griffin Austin wide receiver out of the University of Tennessee. And the reason why I say that is last offseason, he let Connor Yoder walk in the free agency, and Yoder signed with the Lions. Right now, as we speak, the Bills have the 31st ranked total offense in the DML, man. And that's just not gonna shake it. And if you look at his roster, he's lacking some speed at the wide receiver position. It's rumored that Griffin Austin in the summer ran a sub 4.3 40. I got him as the number 1 overall rated prospect on my board. And also, there's been rumblings out of the Bills organization that they're going to let Nelson Aguilar walk. So I think it's kind of the perfect fit for Buffalo to go after a wide receiver here. So, I like Ollie Richards. I like that pick. I think he's going to be a real good slot corner, somebody that can play press man, somebody that will be a starting nickelback day one in the DML. But I don't think Buffalo can pass a wide receiver up like this when they're hurting real bad on offense.
Gotcha. So you have the Bills selecting Griffin Austin with the 2nd overall pick. This will be a very interesting pick, man. I think either position he goes, it will help him. I like the wide receiver pick that you have them selecting because they have that quarterback that he drafted maybe 2 seasons ago, Patrick Wheeler. I'm not sure if he's starting or not. He should be starting, but maybe they're just waiting to get him some weapons and just give him the playbook and let him do his thing, man. So I have Ollie Richards going to the Bills, and Bruce Kuiper has Griffin Austin going to the Bills. Now, before we get into this next selection, we have some team needs that the Steelers need to possibly address in this draft. So the number 1 is offensive line, and you can never go wrong with the big bellies,
fat guys.
In the trenches. And number 2, they need a running back, and number 3, they need a receiver. So with this pick, I have a swap it. I got Griffin Austin going to the Steelers with this pick, and I really think he needs a wide receiver. He has a quarterback. He has Wentz, and he still has Le'Veon Bell. He possibly could have addressed the running back position, but we all know many guys don't, look at running backs as a need when you have somebody like Le'Veon Bell, regardless of how old he's getting. Last year, the Steelers addressed the defensive side of the ball when they picked Harmon, the free safety, who's a stud. I really like Harmon, but I think this guy can give Wentz a receiver that can actually stretch the field where he can kind of work Le'Veon and a couple of other pieces underneath. So I got him taking Griffin Austin out of Tennessee. And who do you have, Mr. Kuiper, with that 3rd overall pick to the Steelers?
Man, Bucky, first, I didn't want to cut you off. Let me take a step back because this guy's in my division. I like the homie Flair. But on them team needs, man, you could have honestly put every single position with the exception of quarterback and safety. That team is rough. It is rough, man. It don't look like it's getting any better. But, I like that pick. I really like Griffin Austin at 3 if he got out of the top 2. I just don't see him getting out of the top 2. But if he's there, that's a perfect pick for the Steelers because they need a lot of help and they need it fast. But I'm kind of on the opposite end of you. I have him going halfback Rashard Allen from Florida State. You see the tape on Allen. You check his production this year. He's already got 800 rushing yards and 400 receiving yards. And just like you mentioned, Bell's getting older, and most guys don't, feel like they should have to address that position, especially with a good back like Bell. He'll regress a little bit. But will he really regress that much? But I think it might be time to jump up there, especially if he comes in the combine with a sub 4.4 40. He can do it all. The production's there. You just really want to see what his long speed is. But I think he fits that mold, especially of what Flair likes to do. Flair runs like 3 plays and 2 of them go to the running back.
Right.
I think X called it out a little bit earlier in this week when he was playing them. But if you run 3 plays, run your 3 plays and pitch. Find your guys that can run them 3 plays. And I think Rashard Allen from Florida State's a perfect fit for that.
Right. Well, if the Steelers like throwing to the halfback and in the flats, Rashard Allen would definitely earn his paycheck as a rookie if this is where the Steelers decide to go. So let's keep it moving, man. We're gonna keep it moving with pick number 4, and that's the Washington Redskins coming in with Taco Chanasa. Hey, I guess it's Takoya Chanasa. Well, whatever his name is, Taco. Well, whatever his name is, this guy will definitely be one of the best players in this draft. Now, they haven't done any combine numbers yet, but just looking at his film, he can cover, he can hit, he can rush the passer. He's a every down player, a day one starter out of Oklahoma. And this guy will absolutely bring it on the field. Now, the Redskins did not have a first round pick in the previous draft. They traded it to the Saints, where the Saints was in the top 10. I hope that the Redskins don't allow that to happen again, and they use this pick to grab Taco Chanasa. I like him just because it's his name. You know what I'm saying? So,
he sounds like a hitter.
Yeah, he sounds like a hitter. And the Redskins are known for drafting defensive players, even though they need to address other positions on their team. Like I would really like to see them draft an O-lineman, but I just don't see the Redskins drafting an O-lineman at that top 4 pick. Not with Taco Chanasa still on the board. So that's my pick for the Redskins, man. Taco Chanasa, 6'5", 240 out of Oklahoma.
And that's a great pick, man. That's a great pick, and that's the first one we done agreed on so far.
Man, great minds think alike, and somewhat.
I'm telling you that. And, just to kind of follow up with what you said, man, I think Taco would be an excellent addition for the Redskins. And I also agree with you saying, like, man, he needs to get an O-lineman in there pretty soon. But, the boy under, I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to try to stack up on his defense. And the one place where, he's getting a little bit older on that defense is the middle of it. So he could replace Zach Brown with this. And man, we all know how Madden 19 plays at this point. If you could get a guy like Taco and user him in the middle of that defense, it's at 6'5", man, just hold triangle. All you gotta do is just hold triangle because you getting that big.
Right.
And he's got the hit power too. So if you have to come up and coming up try to break up a drag, right stick, boom, you dropping it.
Right.
So. I agree, but this is a no-brainer right here.
No-brainer, man. You Redskins, you cannot let Taco Chanasa fall to the 5th pick. And with the 5th pick, we got coming in, and that's the Denver Broncos. I have the Broncos selecting Haynes Chamberlain out of the U. He's a wide receiver, 6'3", 215. This could be a stretch pick, but I really think he needs to add some weapons for Purdom. He has a running back, and last season he drafted DeMarcus Candy, who he has that middle linebacker, who's also a stud. Now, and the reason I said I hope the Redskins doesn't let Taco Chanasa fall, because if he does, the Broncos could select Taco Chanasa as well to team him up with DeMarcus Candy. But right now, I like the wide receiver out of the U, man, Haynes Chamberlain. He's a big guy, 6'3", 215. He can catch. He can run all the routes. I think the question about him is his work ethic and his 40 time. Now,
right,
and he stretched the field. Most of the receivers out of the U, they're known for their speed. Even when you go back to even Devin Hester, back in the day with Michael Irvin and the Moss brothers, those guys were fast. So Haynes Chamberlain, he's trying to live up to that pedigree. But I have the Broncos selecting Haynes Chamberlain out of the U. Who do you have the Broncos picking?
I think that you're right in the area on offense that he should go. I just don't think he's going there that early. Like you said, I know you think he could be a stretch pick. I see it like that too. I think he's going to be a good player in the league. But I'm about the storyline right here, man. I got the Broncos going Carol Buggs, DN out of Texas A&M.
Okay, Mr. Bugs.
Yeah, I see Mr. Buggs, man. You know, he's been training with Von Miller. You know, Von Miller went to A&M too. It's about 12 years ago, but Von still gives back to the school, man. And he's had Buggs under his wing since he was a freshman. And, you know, they look alike and they play alike on the field. He's 6'4", 257. Von is 6'4", 250. So, and I also think that this is a good move for the Broncos because they made a move in the offseason. They actually made a couple moves in the offseason. I really like what he did this offseason, with the exception of giving Neely to the Saints, but we ain't going to talk about that right now. I like the move he made with the Eagles and got Douglas Deku, but he moved him to right end to be on the opposite side of Trey Hendrickson. I think that if he drafts Buggs, it'll allow Deku to go back to his natural linebacker position. And then you got Hendrickson and Buggs coming off the edge, which I think will really solidify his defense. Because if you look on paper, his defense actually looks pretty good. He's just weak at the outside backer spot. Bouncing Deku back would be perfect for him. And I love the storyline, man. Von Miller's probably about to be on his way out, and he gets to bring in a kid from his school, take him under his wing, and have him in Mile High with him.
Gotcha. That would be an excellent pick. And with Von Miller there, man, and the previous guy, DeMarcus Cannon, you can't go wrong from learning from other two guys, man. So with pick 6, man, next up we got the Cincinnati Bengals coming in, and I have them taking the free safety out of San Diego State, Mr. Chuck Topley. Topley comes in at 6'1", 221, and he can lay the lumber. He can hit, man, and I think this is a great pick because he teams up Topley with the previous pick that he had last year, Mr. Pilson Fells out of Ole Miss, who was a cornerback. So I think right now, bringing in some over-the-top help like Mr. Topley and someone who can cover, they can play the run, this will be an excellent pick for the Bengals. And I feel like the only thing Topley really needs to address is his agility. He moves his hips a little. He gets a little stiff at times, but once he gets turned around and he's in stride, man, he can catch anything behind him. So I'm thinking he's that safety net on defense that the Bengals are looking for, and that's Chuck Topley, man, from San Diego State. Now, who do you have the Bengals selecting here with the 6th pick, Mr. Kuiper?
Well, you know, I like Topley. I do. He reminds me of a guy we drafted in Baltimore named Montreal McGee, who plays for the Vikings now. Very similar build, same exact stats. But I think the Bengals, you know, it's another one of my division mates. And, you know, I know y'all boys always talk about some free chicken. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to lay it out right now. And, hey, we have a sack party 2 times a year, one in Baltimore and one in Cincinnati. Femi, Darian Graves, they all in the backfield. So, man, for me, it's a no-brainer. Like, I know he's probably not going to do it because nobody wants to take one of them big, sexy, fat guys at 6. But I got him going right tackle, Kasheem Stewart from Alabama. You know, Stewart, man, he's lengthy, 6'5", real good feet. I think he's the best pass blocker in this draft. And he's also not a bad run blocker. He's been blocking for Blake Martinez, who I think is going to, you know, go first to the Bucks. A lot of experience, you know, another one of those Alabama O-linemen. I think he's going to do great things in the DML. And I think if you're drafting for need and if you're really looking at need, where you're hurting the most at and what you give up the most, I mean, he's leading. He has a great quarterback in LeBlanc. But LeBlanc is always top 3 in being sacked in this league. And he's always top 3 in throwing interceptions in this league. The one way to, you know, you got to start protecting your quarterback to fix that. And you got to develop a running game. Mixon can run the ball, but man, he doesn't have anybody to protect him. He's on his back. So, right. In my opinion, I think that Kasheem Stewart should be the pick here, but obviously he's probably not going to take him. So, you know, we'll see what the Bengals do. We'll see what the big homie does.
Yeah, I would really like to see the big homie address that O-line. That's actually a pick that I looked at, but as I always mention, guys always stray away from picking what they need. You know what I'm saying? They look at the combine numbers that come out and they're like, oh, now I got to get this guy because he runs the fourth. Man, draft what you need. And
Right.
later on, pick up something that could be a hidden gem. But, you know, you have him going O-line, which he probably should. I got him picking a safety, Mr. Chuck Tarpley. But we'll see what the big homie does with that 6th pick. Even if he trades it, we'll see what he does. Now, coming in at number 7, we got the Minnesota Vikings, and I got them selecting a quarterback, and that's my man Jack Huntington from Texas A&M. Now, I understand this is a very surprise selection right here because recently the Vikings traded a quarterback, and then they traded for a quarterback. Now I had them drafting a quarterback, but based on, you know, the news in the DML, he's not really happy with the quarterback that he got from Seattle. So I look for him to address the quarterback situation in this draft, and hopefully that's the guy who he likes, because, you know, Jack Huntington comes from Texas A&M. He played in the SEC. He has a strong arm, and what gets me, man, the guy is 6'7".
Oh yeah.
6'7", 229. So you don't have to worry about, you know, the O-line, you know, blocking his vision or his throwing lanes. He's towering over all the O-line, and most of the time your tallest guys are outside on the tackle. So anything in the middle, man, that vision cone and them throwing lanes are going to be wide open. Now, can he hit the target? That's going to be something that we're going to have to possibly find out. But I got him taking Jack Huntington out of Texas A&M. Now, who do you have the Vikings selecting with this pick?
Well, I think you're spot on again at quarterback, man. I think we're just a little bit different on players. You got Jack Huntington, who I like. He reminds me, his build is similar to Brock Osweiler, Ryan Tannehill, real big guys, you know, big arms. But that's also what scares me about him, being that he could be like Ryan Tannehill or Brock Osweiler with the long delivery. His feet aren't the best, and like you said, he's not accurate. So I'm actually going with the quarterback from Ohio State, Reed Bakatari, who on film, man, is the most accurate quarterback in this year's draft. Although I will say, we know how Ohio State quarterbacks tend to go, you know, put up a lot of good numbers in college and don't really pan out in the league. Well, I think this might be the guy to be able to break the mold. You know, this season already, he's thrown for 3,100 yards, got a completion percentage of 74%, which is pretty good in an improving Big Ten. And, you know, just going back to the Vikings made a playoff run, and I believe he traded, it was the year before, and I believe he traded his quarterback to you this offseason. Am I right, Bucky?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, man. And that guy was good. I don't know why he did that. And he made a trade for Hubbard. And right now, I think it's Jalen Hubbard is his name. Yep. He's only thrown 3 touchdowns and 21 picks. That is a tough touchdown to interception ratio. Yeah. And, you know, maybe it has something to do with him dealing with a scrambler. I've talked to the Vikings before myself. We sat down at last year's combine and the combine before that, and got a deal that sent, you know, Dishman and Montreal McGee over to Vikings for a pick that ended up being Willis Wise. Right. So I kind of know in his head a little bit about what's going on. I think he's going to try and break away from taking even that quarterback, Casey Cummins, who you got at number 1. I think he's going to go back to a traditional pocket passer and maybe, you know, try to get back to focusing on reads, standing in that pocket and getting the ball out.
Gotcha. So you got him taking Reed Bakatari from Ohio State. Yes, I think the good thing about this pick right here, we both have him going quarterback. So either quarterback that comes into the Vikings camp will immediately be competing for the starting job. And you almost can possibly say that the rookie coming in will, you know, have the lead on some of the veterans that's already in place. There's been an open door for quarterbacks, so hopefully either Jake Huntington or Reed Bakari out of Ohio State can come in and solidify that quarterback position for the Minnesota Vikings. Now, before we dive into this next pick, which is the Raiders, let's look at some of the team needs that they need to address for this draft. Now, we have them. They need a middle linebacker, they need a defensive back, and they need a defensive end. This team has been in a little turmoil, and I think they're just hoping to, grab a stud with the first pick that they have. So let's move on to the pick, and I have them grabbing Charles Welch out of Wisconsin, and this is a linebacker that plays really well. He's like he could typically be that sideline to sideline guy. Down there in Wisconsin, man, we know how they play. They run the ball. They're sure tacklers. They're very fundamental. So this is probably what the Raiders need in their camp that could possibly, rub off on the rest of the players. Charles Welch comes in at 5. He's a little on the short side at 5'11", 250. So with that weight, I kind of expect him to be like a thumper. But we'll see. At 5'11", he's gonna have to do something. I mean, he kind of reminds me of that Sam Mills build, but we all know Sam Mills was an icon for the league. So right. Who do you have the Raiders selecting? I got them selecting Charles Welch out of Wisconsin. Who do you have?
Ding, 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 ding. Charles Welch, man. I got the same exact pick, man. I think we hit a home run on this one. I think he brings what the Raiders really need on the defensive side of the ball is some leadership. They also need that staple in the middle. They need somebody, a signal caller, man. Last night, I don't know if anybody was watching the Raiders-Chiefs game, but it was late in the game. Some decisions were made. A play call was made by the defensive coordinator that I think that Charles Welch will have the ability to override when it comes down to it. They ended up going manning up Tyreek Hill with 20 seconds to go, and it was a bomb away. But, back to Welch, he was a 2-time captain at Wisconsin. Real smart guy, sure tackler, somebody who's going to step into a locker room and earn respect real fast. And I think that's what Tone's Raiders need, man. They're out there, and I think he moved him out to Vegas, right? So yeah, that might have a lot to do with, Carl Joseph getting in some trouble, Cooper getting in some trouble, and they had to get them guys up out of there, man, for all that gambling and whatnot. I know I'm not supposed to say that, but shoot, them Raiders are wilding, man. They got to get a hold on them. So, Big Tone, I think if you want to hit a home run, go grab Charles Welch from Wisconsin. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah, Charles Welch is going to be a baller in this league. Like I say, he's 5'11", 250. So expect Charles Welch to go early and produce early for whatever team drafts him. Hopefully the Raiders, me and you got this one right, and we got Charles Welch going to the black hole, and that's the Raiders. So
yes, sir.
Let's move on to the ninth pick, and that's the Tennessee Titans. And I have them selecting Alexander Moreau. Now, he needs a DN, but this is why I had them selecting this guy. Alex Moreau is actually a linebacker. He's a speed rusher. So I have them selecting Monroe and immediately transitioning him to DN to rush the passer. This guy is 6'2", 246. He plays at a small school, but he plays big. Now, this could be kind of high for a guy that went to FAU. So we'll see how Alexander Monroe turns out in the DML once these combine numbers come out and once these pro days are released. I expect him to run fast, be quick, and have all the skill set to get to the quarterback. Who do you have?
Well, at this spot, man, I got the Titans going tight end Braxton Humber from Tennessee. Now, this might be another pick where, somebody's saying it's a stretch, but this kid is 6'8", 265 pounds at tight end in a league where we know in this cycle of Madden where tight ends is like finding a unicorn. So I think that might be what the Titans will find at this spot. I know he's got Gerald Everett, but if this guy, he's a vertical threat, everybody can see him outrunning people, and he's a part of the number one offense in the SEC East over in Tennessee. And he's got a good quarterback throwing to him, who's a top 64 prospect, Brian Meterino. I see a lot of good upside right here, and I think that he could be a tight end similar to the guy that you drafted a couple years ago with the Bears.
Right.
Now, the Titans, it's just hard to really pick, man, where he would go, because I like your pick for him, but he's really got a stacked roster. If you look at the Titans, man, you probably would ask yourself, how the heck is this man picking in the top 10 consistently every year?
Right.
And he's got some coaching ability too, because he just tore my mouth out, tossed me to death. I got a concussion sitting there talking to you right now. I got to go to the doctor when I get off the mic.
Hey, toss left, toss right.
Man, toss left, toss right, dive, toss. I'm asleep. So, well, back on the topic though, Tennessee, very talented team. I think that this could take Clay Brooks to the next level though. This safety blanket and upside and Braxton Humber, to me, is off the charts, and I think that it would be a great pick for that Titans offense.
Yeah, even though I selected somebody different, I always like the tight end as that safety blanket, man. And Clay Brooks really needs it right now. His career hasn't really been excelling like he expected, but he still has time. He's still young, so if he drafts his tight end, that could really propel him over some of the quarterbacks that came out in his draft and some previous drafts. So either way it go, I think either pick would be great for the Titans. I really like the tight end pick, so if he falls, I would really like to see the Titans draft his tight end. So next up is the Detroit Lions, and hey, I got them picking the guy with the best overall name in the league, and it's the running back out of Stanford, and it's Mustafa Thompson. Now, anybody whose name is Mustafa, I'm drafting him
instantly.
Yeah, he's gonna be strong, and I know it sound like I said it with a K, because I did. Strong. He's strong with a name Mustafa, like you just hand him the ball, and it's gonna be like back in the day when we played Tecmo Bowl, and you get the ball to Bo Jackson, and the cats just bounced off of him. So, and the reason I have him picking this guy, because last year, if you noticed, the Lions drafted Spencer Blaylock, the quarterback out of LSU. Now he has like 4 or 5 running backs on his team already, but I don't think they're the guy that he's looking for. You need that standout guy, and I think Mustafa Thompson is the guy that Detroit goes with and helps him get ready for high stakes. What do you think?
Man, I think we both on the same page here. Mustafa, I'm gonna call him Mufasa. That's what I'm calling him. Mufasa. Cool little fact about this guy, man. I don't know if everybody remembers the Nigerian Nightmare, Christian Okoye. What I'm talking about, of course you guys do. This kid right here actually went to one of his football camps that he holds back in Africa. So he went there. He was a standout student in high school, which is why he was at the University of Stanford. And another thing I want to point out with this Lions pick right here, man, I think the commish said something on Power Talk that I feel is very true, and it's true in the real NFL too. It's a copycat league. Now, Bucky, who do you and the Lions have to see at running back for the Green Bay Packers 2 times a year? What's his name? Oh,
that's the guy, Karan Colbert.
Yeah. To me, man, this guy looks just like Colbert. He looks just like him. I mean, he weighs a little bit less, but he doesn't fumble. He runs through people's souls. Like this guy is just the perfect, ideal power back that you want. And I think he's gonna come in day one and be the fit that the Lions need. I mean, I can't see a more solid pick in the top 10 right here if he drops. I mean, I guess I got the Steelers going Rashard Allen because I don't think Flair likes a power back. Yeah. But this is top 5 talent in this draft that will probably be around to pick 10 like we have it. So, I think my boy Mufasa is going to make some noise over there in Detroit if he goes that way.
Mustafa Thompson will be a great pick for Tazzarelli and those Lions, and I think he'll be a great complement to the LSU quarterback that he drafted last year, Spencer Blaylock. So this guy will really help Spencer Blaylock, get his career going and pretty much open up the passing game because if you stack 8 in the box, I think Spencer has enough weapons on the outside where he can go over the top. And once you do that, now it's Mustafa time. So great pick for the Lions.
Hey, cue the Lion King music every time he spoke.
Yeah. So if you look at the bottom, man, we got the Dallas Cowboys coming in with the 11th pick. And I got him take a Connor Griffin. He's a cornerback. And with the Rams, I have him taking Rashard Allen, who's a running back from Florida State. And I think this will be a great pick for him because, Gurley is aging. So we'll see what those 2 last picks do in the draft. So, man, that pretty much wraps up the Bus top 10 mock draft. We went through the picks 1 through 10, elaborated on who we thought would go where, why, and now we just gotta wait and see. Now, once we, advance and progress through the season, expect another mock draft to come out with some more, cemented picks where we get closer to the end of the season. We're gonna, and once the mock draft is out, we'll probably have some combine numbers as well. So the picks may seem a little bit more solid then, but hey, it's never too early to get things going with the Bus mock draft. Now, I just want to thank my co-host, Bruce Kuiper, for jumping on with me. He gave some great insight to these top 10 picks.
Hey, appreciate you having me out here, Bucky. Look forward to doing it again, my man.
Yes, sir. So, with that being said, man, I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and make sure you guys tune into the DML network. Do some subscribe, hit the like buttons, and watch all of the shows, and pay attention to and watch out for the draft that will be coming out in a few weeks. So, that being said, man, hey, we out.
The Dynasty Madden League grind in 365.